Hey everybody, Adam Martin, F5 Project. First, let me say that it's an honor and a privilege to be able to do this type of event, especially multi-site within, I believe, all the prisons are on here, if not most of them. Two, I want to say I miss you guys. I feel like everything's virtual now, and I miss coming there once a month, which I haven't done in, I feel like, years. We just launched or relaunched the Cass County Jail meeting this in the last 2 weeks. And that's the first time that we've been in there in almost 2 years. And so things are starting to pick up again. And I'm hopefully planning on making some trips out to Bismarck and other places between prisons and jails so that I can see you guys face to face. I'm really looking forward to it. When I did the Cass County meeting on Sunday night, it's you don't even, we normally say we don't realize what we've lost until we've lost it. And I think I just got so used to not doing it for the last 2 years that I forgot how much it truly just like revitalizes me to be back within the walls and talking to people and just getting connected. And it does just as much. It probably does more for me than it will ever do for you guys. So I just want to say that I appreciate you guys, and I'm looking forward to seeing you again. Ricky did a great job presenting. I think most of you understand what, F5, and that we have houses in Grand Forks and Fargo and Bismarck, and then also one in Moorhead, Minnesota. And I'm not sure if you touched on this or not because I have ADHD and I gapped out. We launched a treatment center. It's called the Ridge. It's in the Ridge in North Fargo. So the Ridge Treatment and Reentry Center. And so we do outpatient services there. And I'll talk a little bit more at the end about that, but I just want you to keep that in mind. If you go through treatment while you're in prison and you got your eval done, we can get that connected with our counselors here, and you can do an aftercare plan with us, relapse prevention or trauma groups, getting ready for change groups, young people in recovery groups or whatever, which is for 18 to 25. So really, really ecstatic about that. So, back in 2016, when I went to the very first Cass County Jail meeting before F5 was even a thing, to today in 2022, we have 70 employees between the two organizations. And it's because of getting awesome outcomes, not just because of the staff, but because of people like you who put in the work and deserve to have a valuable and worthy life because you are valuable and worthy people. So anyways, I'm here to introduce Quan. I met him on probably back in 2017 or 18, somewhere in there. I'm not exactly sure, but right after, I think I maybe had about 10 staff at the time. So it might even been 19. I'm not sure. But Defy Ventures, if you're not familiar with Defy Ventures, they popped on my radar right around the time when I was starting to figure out what I wanted to do. So I kind of fell into F5 Project in creating that because I was working at a tech firm. I went and spoke at this United Way event. And before I even got off the stage, I knew what I wanted to do with my life. And it had something to do with like helping people who were like, like me. And the reason why is like my life was like leveling up, but my friend circle was getting smaller, right? And part of it was like most of the people I grew up with or I was hanging out with were either dying or getting locked up. And most of the people I was hanging out with in the tech sector were people I didn't really know or identify with. And so, yeah, the money was great. Yeah, the lifestyle was great. I got my kids back. I got a car. I got a house and stuff like that. But I feel like I was just helping rich people get richer. And I just, it was kind of lonely, and I wanted my friends back. And that's essentially why I started F5. And so when I was doing research and trying to figure out what it is that I wanted to do, I came across Defy Ventures. And Defy Ventures was going into Pelican Bay Prison at the time. And what they were doing was teaching an entrepreneur curriculum, a very robust curriculum that took like somewhere between, I think it was like 18 months. It might be less or a little more than that. They were handing out certificates from Baylor University for entrepreneurship. They were getting guys activated into their lives and becoming successful and starting businesses while they were still in prison, but even more so after they got out of prison, and were investing in the ones that were putting in that work, right? And that was like the thing that I wanted to do, is that I wanted to be able to incentivize and activate people to have better lives, the lives of their choosing, and not just mandated lives or being forced to live a life that they didn't want to live, right? And the fastest way to do that is entrepreneurship, and treating that entrepreneurship principles in your life in all aspects, right? Thinking outside of the box on how to be a better father, how to be a better employee, right? Like how to be better than I was yesterday. And that was where I learned that my biggest competition is not the people around me. It's not other businesses. It's me yesterday is my biggest competition. Can I do a little bit more than I did yesterday? Can I spend a little bit less time on my phone than I did yesterday and pay more attention to my son? Right? That's the entrepreneur kind of mindset. When I realized that those principles could make my life better in a bunch of different areas, it kind of broke that barrier or that window or that ceiling, right? And kind of just put me on a whole new path on being an entrepreneur in every aspect of my life, right? Not perfect, but that's the beautiful thing about entrepreneurship, is that you don't have to be perfect. You just got to put forth effort, right? And so I met Quan when I got invited to go to Pelican Bay Prison to go participate in this kind of Shark Tank graduation atmosphere for graduates who had completed the program and built their business plan, and then they were going to pitch to these groups of people, these pods, their business plan. And if the business plan was good, or they presented good, or if they had cash flowing business within 30 days, right, in this business plan, they would move them to the next level, and they would continue to do this and then pick a winner at the end of the day. And then they would invest, I believe, like $10,000 or something like that into the business after they were released. There's probably way more complex. And Quan is the executive director. I'm not exactly sure of the title, but I believe California Defy Ventures. He can correct me when he jumps on. And he was there, and he told his story, right? And he was a former resident of Pelican Bay. And that was impactful. And I'm going to finish with this story. I'm going to bring him on and let him tell his story. And you guys can put questions in the chat box, or you can reserve them till the end. But he's going to make time available to answer any questions. And I believe you guys got books that he wrote. They were delivered to the prison today. So if you don't have them in your possession now, I imagine you will soon. There was 50 of them. So if there's more than 50 people on this call, I think they're going to randomize it, and we'll just figure out, the people who watched, we'll just figure out how to get a book in your hand or your hands. So when I was at Pelican Bay and I did the tour and I did the Shark Tanks and listened to a lot of different ideas, there was a gentleman there who was in the hole, right, when he started the program. And they basically told him, this is my recollection and my memory of it, they told him that if he participated in the program while he was in the hole, that they would let him back into general population, right? He had been in and out of the hole probably more in the SHU than he had been in any other population. And I had even heard that he had been in there for 12 years, right? And so the cool part of the story is he started this curriculum and he put forth the effort and just had like a lifestyle change while he was doing it. And they moved him back in the general population. And he graduated the program, right? And had no issues, no fights, no write-ups, no nothing, right? The more beautiful thing about this is that when he got locked up, he found out he had a daughter, right? And he the whole time he was in the SHU, he was not allowed to have visitations. And so he had never met his daughter. And then he found out that at his graduation, that his 12-year-old daughter was going to come to his graduation. I did not know any of this until I talked to him, right? And we're talking like this little networking session, and he was just like, I was like, I could tell that he was just kind of antsy, right? And I was just like, what, I was like, this is a big day, man. The graduation, music, cake, you know, what's your business plan? Just making conversation with him. And I was like, what's going, like, are you okay? And he was like, I'm really nervous, man. And I'm like, why are you nervous? And he was like, because I'm going to meet my daughter, my 12-year-old daughter, for the first time today. And I was like, man, let's talk about this. Screw the business stuff. Screw everything else. Like, that'll all come. I want to talk about this. What's your plan? He's like, I have no idea. And I was like, I only offered one piece of advice. Make it about her, right? She's going to come in. She's going to be just as anxious as you are, probably more. She's coming into a prison. She's meeting her dad for the first time. Her dad's completely covered in tattoos, right? She's never even, seen pictures of you, really, in the last 12 years. Like, make it about her. Ask her about school. Ask her about what her favorite sports are. Does she have a favorite? Like, just make it about her and less about you. And I'll tell you what, at the graduation, I saw his daughter, I saw him, and they were at the beginning of the graduation on opposite sides of the room. And I could see them peeking at each other from time to time. And then they let us all get up and they walked over to each other. And I told him, I was like, when she comes up to you, she's going to be really uncomfortable and she's going to probably keep her hands to her sides, maybe kind of, do a pat, or her leg's going to be shaking a little bit, and wait for her to hug you. And ask her how about her life. And he looked, man, I'm going to tear up. She did that. She was like really anxious, you could tell. And then I saw him lean down and he asked her a question. I don't know what the question was. And then about 2, 3, 5 seconds later, she wrapped her arms around him. And man, I was like bawling in the back, just watching this moment happen. And he was like starting to believe that with the effort he was going to put in, that he could live the life that he wanted to live, even being incarcerated, even having all the felonies, even all that stuff. And it all started with the curriculum of thinking, I can do more than I did yesterday. Right. So that's the story of the curriculum. That's how, and Quan was there, and he was really impactful on the bus ride and telling a story. And when we got into the prison, and everyone just knew who he was, and he's one of those guys. He's the guy, right? So please take the time to listen to him today. Read his book if you get it. If you didn't get it, communicate to your case manager. It'll get to me. I will find a way to get you a book. And so. Ricky, go ahead, bring Quan on. You can jump me off, and enjoy the show, guys. I appreciate it.